everybody, it's Grandma Barbie, and I'm going to read you another story. Have you ever had a tooth that's been loose and it kind of bothers you? Or maybe you've heard of the tooth fairy. And the tooth fairy comes when you do lose a tooth. They're called your baby teeth. You put it in a special place, and then the tooth fairy comes, and the tooth fairy leaves you something. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's a little treat or a toy or a book or something. But the tooth fairy, if the tooth is good, will leave you something. And she'll take the little baby tooth, and then she'll take it and give it to some little baby, like maybe baby Michael Krieg's, the little baby that's going to come in May. Maybe that will happen. But then what happens to you when you lose your baby tooth? You get a big tooth like Grandma's. So, but you have to make sure you brush your teeth. And then the tooth fairy likes your teeth. So anyway, let's read this little story. This is called Bruce's Loose Tooth. Now, Bruce is the moose. And I think Lainey and Hensley probably have some moose out by their house. But anyway, let's see what this story says. Okay, Bruce's loose tooth. Looks like he's got a friend. Oh, my goodness. There's a string attached to that tooth. Wonder why that string's attached to the tooth. Well, we're going to find out, so let's turn that page. Okay. There once was a moose whose name was Bruce. Bruce's tooth was very loose. So he asked the advice of a kindly old goose. See the goose? What can I do with this wiggly, wiggly tooth? It's a terrible bother, and that's the truth. Well, the goose said to Bruce, I can see no excuse for a tooth that is loose in the mouth of a moose. If you'll find me a string or any such thing, then I'll make a noose. Pull the tooth that is loose, and it will fly out like a bird on the wing or a kite in the spring. So, see, the goose tied a little loop and put it on Bruce's loose tooth down there. They've got a plan. Well, Bruce said to the goose, well, to tell you the truth, I'm kind of fond of this tooth that I've had since I was a youth. And the goose said to Bruce, let me help you unloose. That's a tough tooth, Mr. Moose, that had caused such abuse. So the goose found a spruce, and he made up a noose. And he tied up the moose with the noose to the spruce. Bruce said to the goose, I'm afraid I don't see why a moose such as me should be tied to a tree. Okay, so the goose put a noose on the rope and tied it to Bruce's tooth. And then she looped it around this tree, and it's called a spruce because it's an evergreen. And there's the goose. And Bruce is saying, am I supposed to be tied up to a tree? Let's see what happens. Oh, silly moose, said the goose. If you'll just bend that spruce and let it fly free, you most surely will be rid of that tooth that is loose. With a smile of great glee, Bruce then bent the tree almost down to his knee, and then he let it fly free. Well, what happened? See? There goes the goose, and he bent down, and the tree bent, but it snapped. Hip hooray, cried the goose. Hip hooray, said the spruce. Oh, be still, called out Bruce. It is not clear to you that this terrible tree has just broken in two, and the tooth is still loose in the mouth of this moose. So see, nothing happened. And that squirrel is laughing, Probably never seen such a silly thing. Then they gave the tooth knocks and hard socks and threw some rocks and finally using some very large blocks till Bruce seemed to rock from the knocks and the socks, but the tooth stayed in place like the fur on a fox. So see, this goose is throwing a rock trying to hit the tooth, and it's just not doing anything except knocking Bruce over. And see, she still has that string attached to that silly tooth. Wandering down near an old railroad track, the goose said at last, Bruce said, "Alack, I shall have to give up every sweet, dainty snack." So, because when he chews, it must bother him. And so he's got a piece of pie there, and he's thinking, I don't think I'll be able to have any pie because my tooth is loose. And such as poppy seed pie or mud served on rye, and these most tempting slivers of dandelion livers. Goodbye, lily pad stew, and that marvelous brew made of water and sand and a discarded shoe. Oh, it's sad. It's sad, but it's true. So he's thinking of all the stuff that he's not going to eat, and all the goose can go is, well, who'd eat a shoe? A shoe and a stew. That doesn't make any sense. Does that sound good to you? Ugh, doesn't sound too good to me. Don't despair, silly moose, said the kindly old goose, for I saw a thing here that will surely produce the loss of a tooth in the mouth of a moose. Here? Where? Cried Bruce. Well, that caboose, spoke the goose. Okay, so there goes Bruce. He's running after the caboose. And he still has the string, and the goose is holding on to the string. Hi, Mr. Caboose, called the scampering moose. Replied the caboose, I'm not in use. I'm ignored, I'm forgotten, I'm just a recluse. No good at removing a tooth from a moose. So the caboose said, I really can't help you, Bruce, with your loose tooth. Oh my goodness, I wonder what's going to happen. A recluse, moaned Bruce. I'm not in use, waited the goose. The caboose said, you see, I'm really not free. I can't budge off this rail till a train comes for me. And I've been here for 2 years now, going on 3. Oh, so far, 39 days and 39 nights. And 3 of them sat till the train came in sight. So they just sat there for 39 days and 39 nights. So there's the goose, moose, Bruce the moose, and the caboose. And here's that string. It's still there. First they heard the whistle, then a clickety, clickety, clickety clack, and the train stopped beside them, right there on the track. The engine said to them, I need a caboose. Here's one, said Bruce, that isn't in use. The caboose sat up straight, and he lit up each light. Bruce called to the goose, see, his light's getting bright. Now comes the end of this terrible plight. Okay, do you see what they did? They tied the string onto the train. And the string, the goose let go of the string, and there's Bruce with his tooth. Well, let's see what happens. What do you think's going to happen? Squeak, said the caboose. He said, squeak, shouted Bruce. He's moving, he's moving. At last he's in use. Chug, said the caboose. He said, chug, cried out Bruce. Hurry up, said the goose. We must tie up the noose. Squeak chug, squeak chug, squeak chug, called the creaky caboose, and the goose and the moose quickly tied up the noose. Okay, so the goose took the rope and tied it to the caboose. Of course, off went the caboose. Then went the moose, and then Bruce, and then on the track lay the tooth that was loose. So it worked. See the tooth? It was tied to Bruce's mouth where the tooth was, and when the train took off, the caboose was tied to it and pulled it right out of his mouth. And now the caboose is no more a recluse. He is constantly busy and always in use, and happily riding inside him is Bruce, who is finally rid of that tooth that was loose. And where, you may ask, is that old friend the goose? He's the chief engineer on the line of the moose. See? So they're still friends. So that's how Bruce got rid of his loose tooth. But I'm not sure I would want to get rid of my loose tooth that way. I think I'm just going to wait till it naturally falls out. But it's kind of a funny story. And did you see how it rhymed? Bruce, tooth, loose, caboose, goose. A lot of rhymes in there. So now what I want you to do is think of all the words that you can rhyme. What rhymes with cat? What rhymes with dog? What rhymes with book? So why don't you think about those, and then you let me know what you come up with. And maybe you can make a story up all by yourself. So that's the story for the day. So go have fun, and remember, be kind and be courteous to people and treat them very nicely. I love you guys. Bye.